common swim problem number one is something going wrong with your goggles. This is usually your goggles fogging up. This can be your goggles getting knocked off. And Joe, we can also kind of group swim cap problems into this one as well. Sometimes a swim cap will actually tear when you're putting it on race morning. That's never good. Sometimes your swim cap and your goggles can get knocked around while you're swimming. So Coach Joe, if we have problems with our goggles or with our swim cap, just our head covering setup, what should we do when we're out in the water and this happens?
Well, one thing I want to preface before we get into all of these, what we talk about, these go wrongs, there's a way I approach this with my athletes when it comes to swim, bike, run, all triathlon, as far as we're not going to frame it as what's going to go wrong. We're going to talk about the what ifs.
I love that.
And so the way I prep an athlete for a half or a full Ironman is to have them come up with their scariest thoughts about like top 10 what ifs during the race. When we talk those out and have a plan of action and a practice plan of action as to what we're going to do if we have a flat, if we have mechanical on the bike, if we have a panic attack in the water, if we cramp on the run, all of these things are ifs, what ifs. May not happen, could happen, but they become a lot less scary when we talk about and practice what we're going to do in each of those situations. So for this podcast, we're going to frame these as what ifs. What if this happens in the water? What if my goggles fog up? And I think when you frame it that and you prepare for it and talk it out, it makes handling a race, because the truth is these days are very, very long. Whether it's a half or a full, nothing goes perfectly. And so when you've talked a lot about these things that you're worried about, they become a lot less scary, and you know what to do, and you learn to handle them when they occur, and they don't derail you for the rest of the day. So that's my preface on it.
And Joe,
now we're
I just want
talking
to step
about.
in there. Because Jeff Boer, CEO of TriDot, when he coached junior triathletes, which he doesn't do now, but he did for decades. He would always tell his juniors going into a race, plan on 3 things going wrong during this event, whether it's short course, whether it's long course, whether it's middle distance, plan on 3 things going wrong. And so when they go wrong, just like you're saying, Joe, it's not getting out of sorts. It's not, oh, shoot, that happened. It's not, oh, crap, there goes my day. There's the first one. There's the second one.
Yeah.
There's the third one. I knew they were coming. I didn't know what it was going to be. But that mentality, just like what you're saying, it's just a what if. It's just something to troubleshoot along the way. And it's if you go into the day planning on that being part of the day and part of the journey, it's not going to throw you nearly as much. So I love that, Joe.
Yeah.
And I haven't said this yet, but this is kind of episode 1 in a series. And 2 days from now, I'm recording with Triathlon Coach Kurt Madden, and we're going to have the same conversation for the bike. What are the most common things that go wrong on the bike? We're going to have the same conversation about the run, same conversation about race day nutrition. And so, Joe, I love you establishing this as the mindset heading into all these conversations. So just wanted to stop and just thanks for that.
And a little trick that I've used for myself, and it helps me mentally during these races and all of these that I've done these years. But I even speak out loud when something happens. I tend to giggle because I've still said it for like 20 years. Say I like on Saturday got hit in the face during the swim. You get discombobulated. I'll say to myself, reset. And I laugh because I still do it. Or like I almost get clipped on the bike and my nerves get rattled, and I say, reset, breathe, reset, breathe. And when I do, it kind of triggers my mind to say, get back to it, girl. Don't let this derail you. So like kind of talking, it's a kind of a self-talk the whole time, but resetting, you're going to reset 100 times during the day from little things that are happening. So that's just a little tool to use to mentally kind of say it to yourself, reset, breathe, and then let's get back to it. But we were talking about goggles themselves. There's so many issues with goggles fogging. This is something that's so controllable. That's what's easy. Everybody has a preference as to what you apply to your inside of your goggles. There are a lot of anti-fog products. Some people like baby shampoo. Some people like to spit in their goggles if you're going to go real cheap. But I'm a fan of foggies. They're wipes that you wipe out the inside of your goggles. They're multi-purpose, so they're amazing on your aero helmet shield as well as sunglasses. So if you give a quick wipe to all of those things before putting them in your bags or setting up your transition, you will have no problem with fogging of the goggles. So Andrew, I don't know if you've tried those things, but it really is helpful to prevent that, because there's nothing like getting out and not being able to sight or see anything with fogging. And in warmer climates, we're used to that here in Texas. Everything fogs up real quick with our
Yeah, it does.
100% humidity. Yeah. Uh, so that is an issue with goggles. Another one is them breaking, them getting lost. I mean, that sounds like a nightmare, right? Um, and this goes back to a story. One of longtime athlete that I've coached, Jeanette Anderson. She's done quite a few Ironmans under my coaching, but she is hilarious. One of my best friends, but she's out at the lake, and I'm trying to get her. I was like, today you're going to swim, 4,200. We're gonna swim this consistently as a confidence booster and prep for Ironman. She gets back to the dock. She's pooped, tired. She swam the 4,200. And I, take the goggles from her, and I'm like, going back in. And she looked at me with like,
Go do another
what? And
lap.
I said,
No goggles.
we're going to do one lap without those goggles. And I mean, and she did it. And when she came out, she was very appreciative, but she was mad. But she said, I said, you never know what's going to happen. And that would probably be one of the worst things that can happen in a swim, is that, you do lose your
Yeah.
goggles. I mean, you're losing your sight at that point. But is it going to kill your race? Absolutely not. You practiced this, you did it, and you can. If you've got a breaststroke, if you've got a backstroke, you're going to get through that swim. And so it's a good idea. It's really hard, but set them on the pool deck. Do 100, do 200. Just a little bit of practice to know that you can do it if something happens to those goggles.
Yeah, no, I
Um,
absolutely love that, Joe. And I kind of my cheat code here, Joe, is I've actually never used the foggies myself, and I usually don't have issues on race day, and largely that's because I just go in the race day with a new set of goggles. Right. And particularly for my A races, right? If I'm doing a half Ironman or an Ironman, Joe, you and I actually swim in the same pair of race goggles. We
yes.
know what they are. We love them. They fit our face well. And so I'm not
Yeah.
trying something new on race day. It's a new pair of my favorite goggle. And when they are new, they have the manufacturer anti-fog stuff on there. It's
Yeah.
untouched. No one's done anything with it. And I've never had a race day problem with new goggles. If I have my goggles fog up, it's because I'm doing a local sprint or Olympic, and I don't spring for a new set of goggles. I use the ones I've been training in, where I could
Yes.
prevent it ahead of time by using foggies that I've just never used. So I should try that next time I go short course for sure.
Yep. And the other two things I think about, as far as goggles go, you have to do what makes you most comfortable in a swim. If the security of having a second pair tucked into your wetsuit or swim skin, if that helps you, then that's fine.
Yeah.
A lot of my athletes ask me, do I bring it on a half? I'm usually like, it's up to you. I've never done that. And if it makes you more comfortable, then so be it. Tuck an extra pair in. I think the most common thing that happens with goggles is due to the contact we experience in these massive swims, is to get knocked in the face, and to have that happen to me Saturday late into the swim. And it can be rattling, but again, it's one of those resettlements where you've got to sit up, you've got to make sure you cleared that goggle of water, because now you've got water in the eye, all of it. Shake it out, put it back on, and try to get back to flat body position as fast as you can. If you've sustained an injury, if you've really been cold cocked, which has happened to me before, there is no shame and there's no penalty for getting to a kayak and to hanging on
Yeah.
and to make
Good
sure
point.
that you've got that, making sure you've got them right. That's happened to a number of my athletes, and it's perfectly fine to grab hold of a buoy rope or the kayak and get yourself secure so that you can reset the goggles and then proceed with the swim.
Yeah, I think every race for what I've ever done, it obviously depends on the race producer, what their rules are. But I don't think I've
Yeah.
ever done a race where this was not the case. The rule is generally you can grab onto support kayak, support watercraft, support, of course,
Yeah.
buoys. You cannot advance yourself on those items, but you can grab on, sit there, reset, do what you need to do. So great suggestion, Joe. And yeah, anytime I've ever had something go wrong with my goggles, like maybe there's a slight leak, I need to clear some water, or the times in a local sprint or Olympic where I do have some fogging, yeah, I'll just stop for a second, I'll tread water, I'll clear that goggle, I'll get it back on, I'll keep going. And that's probably your answer for 90% of the things that do go wrong out there. It's just kind of reset,
Right.
clear the goggle and
Reset.
keep going.